If you're selling your home or thinking about buying a new home in Calgary and want to make sure you get the best price possible and are up to date on what's happening in the Calgary real estate market, then this is the video for you. This is your May 2022 Calgary real estate market update. Hey, my name is Danny Green and I'm your local Calgary realtor with MV Real Estate Group, RE/MAX First. I specialize in helping homeowners and home buyers navigate the real estate market in Calgary, Alberta, so they can move into a better home and improve their quality of life without having to worry about a thing. Market continues to favor the seller despite slowing sales. For the second month in a row, sales activity trended down after all-time record high sales in March. While the activity in the market slowed down in May, 3,000 sales levels were still slightly higher than last year's record high and are far stronger than typical levels of activity recorded in May. It's not a surprise to see sales ease from the exceptionally strong levels seen earlier in the year. Many buyers were eager to get into the market ahead of the rate gains that we are now seeing, said our chief economist Ann Laurie from CREB. While higher lending rates are weighing on sales, the activity in the market is struggling with supply levels and rising prices, which could also be contributing to slower sales, especially in the detached market. Nonetheless, in this shift continues, we continue to see more balanced conditions in the market over the next several months, slowing the pace of price growth in the market. Slower sales were met with a decline in new listings, but a strong pullback in sales was enough to cause inventories to trend up relative to levels seen over the past few months. While inventory remains below historical norms, the monthly gains did take off some of the pressure in the market. However, with just under 2 months of supply, the market continues to favor the seller. Tight market conditions continue to contribute to further price gains in the market, but the pace of growth has eased relative to what occurred over the previous 4 months. Overall, the benchmark price reached $546,000 in May, over 14% higher than last year's levels. Detached higher lending rates, steep price gains, and exceptionally tight market conditions are starting to weigh on consumers and contributing to the pullback in detached sales this month. Sales trended down in all locations except the most affordable Northeast and East markets in the city, which continue to record sales growth. Slower sales were met with a pullback in new listings, which prevented any steep gains in inventory levels. With 2,552 units in inventory and 1,600 sales, the months of supply edged up over last month, but continues to favor the seller. Persistently tight conditions did contribute to further price gains this month, but the pace of growth has eased compared to earlier in the year. Detached benchmark prices reached $648,000 in May, nearly 17% higher than last year. Year-over-year gains have occurred across all districts, with the gains ranging from a low of 10% in the city center to over 22% in the southeast and northeast. Semi-detached, like the detached sector, sales slowed this month for semi-detached properties. However, sales still remain relatively strong and on a year-to-year date basis are still higher than levels recorded last year. New listings also slowed, but at a slower pace than sales, causing some modest monthly gains in inventory levels and some monthly gains in the months of supply. However, with less than 2 months of supply, this segment continues to favor the seller. While prices continue to rise for semi-detached properties, the pace of growth has eased from earlier in the year. In May, the semi-detached benchmark price reached $584,000, nearly 15% higher than the same time last year. Price gains have occurred across all districts, with the strongest year-over-year gains occurring in the North District of the city. Like other property type sales, activity trended down from March, where there was a high. However, sales in May were still higher than last year's levels and reflected new record high for May. Rural properties in the city are generally more affordable than both detached and semi-detached properties. Higher properties in other sectors and rate gains are likely driving more consumers toward rural-style properties. While some monthly gains in inventory did help push up the months of supply, with 1.5 months of supply conditions continue to favor the seller. The persistently tight conditions placed further upward pressure on prices. However, the pace of growth is easing. As of May, the benchmark price reached $363,000, nearly 17% higher than last year's levels. Recent gains in sales and prices likely encouraged the boost in new listings this month for apartment condominiums. While sales did improve significantly compared to last year, the sales to new listings ratio eased to 67% and inventories edged up over relative to levels seen over the past 5 years. Months. This rise was enough to push up the months of supply to over 2 months. While this segment of the market has been more sensitive to supply shifts, conditions still remain relatively tight, supporting further price gains. The benchmark price in May reached $275,000, over 1% higher than last month and nearly 9% higher than last year. Prices trended up in every district, helping support price recovery. Despite the growth, prices are still over 10% below the highs set back in 2014. For the first time in nearly 2 years, sales in Airdrie eased over last year's levels. Meanwhile, the new listings in the market remained comparable to last month, but were still slightly higher and better than last year's levels. This helped push inventories and the months of supply up compared to last month. However, with the months of supply remaining at 1 month, the market remains exceptionally tight. Despite tight market conditions, we did see prices take a pause this month, easing slightly over last month, but remaining nearly 25% higher than levels recorded last year. Prices have been trending up monthly for the better part of 2 years, and the growth at the start of this year has far exceeded expectations. As rates continue to rise and the market shifts to more balanced conditions, we expect the pace of the price growth to start to slow. Sales in Cochrane continued to remain strong in May, supporting a year-to-date annual gain of nearly 7%. While we have seen some signs of improvement in new listings, that was not the case this month. The sales to new listings ratio rose to 98%, higher than levels seen over the past 4 months. With no additions to the inventory in the market, the months of supply remained below 1 month. This supported persistent sellers' market conditions. The tight conditions continued to place upward pressure on prices. However, the pace of growth is starting to slow, as May prices were 18% higher than last year's levels. Price growth remains the strongest for detached and semi-detached properties, with year-over-year gains pushing 21%. Okotoks sales remained relatively strong this month, contributing to a year-to-date gain of nearly 17%. This growth was possible as new listings did improve this month. However, with an 80% sales to new listings ratio and a month of supply remaining below 1 month, conditions continue to remain relatively tight in this market. The benchmark price reached $560,000 in May. This is a significant jump over the last month and 19% higher than last year's levels. Like most locations, much of the gain is being driven by the detached sector of the market, which saw prices push to $625,000 this month.